So we are almost 30 and decided to tie the knot. I proposed the other week. She said yes. We dated for about 4 years, and her father never liked me, and made it a point to me to know that he doesn't like me. Recently, he came by my work and told me he needed to have a word, so offered to get lunch. I'm surprised at how civil he was being with me, but I thought it had something to do with me asking him for his blessing and him turning me down. In the restaurant, he basically offered me a very large sum of money to break off the wedding and to leave my fiancée and to never see her again. I'm shocked and told him no. He persisted and offered a little more and said I'd be making a huge mistake. Again, said no. I actually love his daughter and I really don't care about money as long as we are happy is all I care about. He gets angry and tells me that I'm going to regret it and that things happen and that I'm going to regret turning down the offer. Before he leaves, he tells me that crap happens and I'm stuck with the bill. My fiancé told me in the past when we first started dating that he had done some shady crap in the past. I'm genuinely scared and not sure if I should even tell my fiancé. Edit. Called fiancé and told her. She called him and he denied everything, saying that he was at work all day and that maybe I'm trying to cause family drama because of wedding jitters. She says that he is too old to be doing crap like that. Edit 2. Fiancé says that her dad has been nothing but nice to me, at least while others are around, and I'm sleeping on the couch for the night. I'm sad that I have no evidence currently. I'm concerned about your fiancé not believing you. That's a major red flag, as everyone says on here. Is she not aware of his dislike for you? Has she always played down her daddy's awfulness? You do realize if you go through with the marriage, this will continue. She won't ever stick up for you and always take daddy's side. You need to have a sit-down, serious conversation. You are her main family now. You are supposed to be who she believes. You are the one she's supposed to love more than daddy. Proceed with extreme caution, OP. My ex keeps having babies with deadbeat losers. We had twins, 11 female, when we were younger, and I tried to make it work with her for the kids, but she just was awful to be with, and I left. I still stayed active in my daughter's life, of course, and did my best co-parenting. She later had a son, 8 male, by some guy who was never around. I didn't have it in me to look at that boy and set the boundaries that you're not my son when he didn't have a father. I couldn't take my girls to Disneyland and leave their little brother home. I fully embraced him, and he calls me daddy, even though me and his mother isn't together, and I don't regret it. I love him. Now she has a 1-year-old with another loser and is struggling, and I can't do it again, and I'm trying my best setting this wall. Of course, the guy isn't around, but I just can't do it again and help her with her bad decisions. I don't want to look at this baby, hold this baby, nothing, and I'm being guilted like I'm a bad guy. I will never stop loving him, but it's honestly made me feel like I was used, taking care of my son like my kindness and love for children was taken advantage of. I don't want anything to do with this child. How should I handle this situation? You're a bigger man than I am for being a father figure to that young boy. It's going to be tough, but I think you're right to set this boundary. Maybe you need to go to court to push for more custody based on the fact that your ex keeps having babies with deadbeats. You might be able to have your daughters around more. I mean, really, your ex sounds like a terrible example for 2 young girls to be growing up with. When do you draw the line? When she has her next one or the one after that? Enough with the guilt trips. You're a father to your biological twins and the non-bio little boy. That's enough. Your ex being a baby-making machine is not your issue, not your monkeys, and not your circus. That's on her. Don't let anybody twist it all around where you are somehow obligated. You are not. Okay, so I and my current wife, Jane, met each other at a grief group. I had lost my wife and unborn child, while she had lost her sister and husband in a car accident. I guess we hit it off because we really understood where each other is coming from. We had gotten married in 2017, and life was actually great. I went to visit Jane's loved ones on their death anniversary, and she did the same with me. We helped each other heal in many different ways, and for the first time in a while, I felt the type of serenity that I had before the tragedy of my first family. I and Jane were very happy, and after a while, she told me that she wanted children. I thought it was a great idea because, to me, having children is a blessing that I was denied. However, months into the pregnancy, she seemed off. I chalked it up to pregnancy hormones, but in hindsight, that should have raised my suspicion. She was going out a lot for a pregnant woman, and I don't mean like once every 2 days. She was going out every day, but in her defense, she always came back in an hour or so. I would assume that she was going out with her friends to shop, look at clothes for the kid with her friends, or to her parents' place. Fast forward to when Jane tells me that she thinks her water broke. I called my parents and hers to have them meet us at the hospital while I rushed her to the hospital. After I finished parking, she drops the bomb on me that she's been sleeping with 2 others, and there's a chance that any one of us could be the dad. I was absolutely devastated. I felt like someone had punched me in the jaw. I told her that I wanted a divorce, even if the kid was mine. She tried to argue, but I told her to use her energy on giving birth and not this. After a while of being outside the delivery room, a nurse informs me that Jane gave birth to a stillborn. I went inside as my dad and her dad left. Only 3 people were allowed inside. And she's a blubbering mess inside, but honestly, I couldn't care less. Her parents and my mother are inside trying to console her about the baby. My mother gets upset with me that I'm not being sympathetic to my wife, who's crying about our child. I let her know that she was cheating on me and there's a potential that the kid isn't even mine. My mother and mother-in-law got super upset with me and started calling me all sorts of names, but I just walked out and left. Jane came home the next day. She told me that she was upset and just wanted me to be here for her. We got into a huge argument, but she struck a nerve when she brought up my unborn baby that died with my first wife, and that I should help her get through it because I have experience. I was so upset with her that I told her to go to her parents' house because I don't want to deal with her, and I might do something regrettable if she stayed. Jane started crying uncontrollably and begged to stay with me, but I didn't budge. My mother very angrily called me a couple of hours later to berate me for treating a woman who recently lost her child. I didn't want to hear it, so I hung up. My father called me minutes later and calmly told me that while he can understand why I reacted that way, I shouldn't treat someone so vulnerable like that. I do feel awful because I can understand what it's like to lose a kid, but this woman cheated on me with multiple dudes. Even though I could possibly not be the father, I am still grieving because I did want the kid, and this is the second time I've been denied the chance to be a dad. I really need help. Any and all advice is welcomed and appreciated. Losing a child is hard, but she cheated on you with multiple dudes and expects you to comfort her within hours of her telling you. I would have done the same thing. She made a conscious choice to cheat on you multiple times without thinking of your feelings and wants you to care about hers. You deserve better. What you both went through with the unborn child is a tragedy, and I think it's absolutely normal to grieve for a future with a child you clearly wanted. That said, she made her own bed, and now she has to lay in it. You do not owe her crap. She has her own support system to have care for her. She doesn't need you wrapped around her finger. Don't give her that. Go completely no contact and move on. My ex-wife and I were married for about 7 years and have 2 daughters. The end of our marriage was rocky, and she ended up divorcing me about 1.5 years ago. It was a hard time for me, but after everything was finalized, I understood that the divorce was really needed, and I'm truly happy now. I have moved on long ago and progressing in my new life like never before. We have a good co-parenting relationship, but nothing more. I live in my house that I recently bought, and my ex lives in an apartment she rents. My ex recently called me to ask for help. She hasn't been doing well financially and can't afford rent anymore. She told me that she will be evicted in a couple of weeks and had nowhere to go. She asked if she could move in together with our daughters for a couple of months until she finds a new job and new place. She said that she was going to help me out at home by cooking, cleaning, and doing all the housework. She kept going on about how she has nobody and that I'm her last hope, or she will otherwise have to live in her car. She said that she knows I'm able to take care of all of us financially and that I would be amazing if I helped her out in these tough times. I told her first off that I'm ready to take in our daughters full-time whenever needed and that she could let me know anytime when I could come pick up their stuff. My daughters are my #1 priority and I'll always take care of them no matter what happens. I did tell her that I won't let her move in under any circumstances. I told her that the financial safety and security I provide are a privilege she doesn't have. I am always ready to take care of our daughters, but what happens to her is none of my concern. She started crying and kept telling me that she would be the perfect housewife and help me out as much as she could. She said that she had no other option than living in her car. I told her that I don't need nor do I want her as my housewife, and that if she needs to live in her car to survive, then that is something she'll have to deal with by herself. I know that I come off as heartless, but I don't see why it would be my obligation to help her. She isn't my wife anymore, so anything that doesn't concern the kids, I truly don't care about. The only obligation I have is taking care of our daughters, and I'm going to do that without hesitation. I don't want to have my ex involved in my life any more than she already is, and have no plan to change that. Do you guys think I owe her help in this situation? Edit. For the people asking about our divorce, she made the last few years of our marriage hell for me. I only put up with her for the sake of our daughters. She also tried to screw me over in the divorce, but it didn't work out for her. I have forgiven her, but haven't forgotten. I see more negative coming from letting her stay with me than positive. She was verbally and sometimes even physically towards me. She kicked me out of our then apartment multiple times and left me stranded to stay with a friend. I know for a fact if I went through this situation, she wouldn't even give me the time of day, let alone help me in any way. I feel like there are some important details missing. The divorce was finalized 1.5 years ago. Did she not get 50% of marital assets? I'm just assuming since you've been able to buy a house, she likely got something. What conditions are causing her to become homeless? Is she renting a luxury apartment and have a luxury car and can't afford it, working a job, or is she having to leave work because she needs surgery or got diagnosed with a terminal illness? If you make enough money after paying child support to afford a home, and between a job and child support she can't afford rent, I feel like there has to be something missing from this story. Especially considering in my state, child support for 2 kids would be 30% of your taxable income. Taking care of your girl should help her tremendously. This way, she only has to support herself. I'm sure you're willing to allow her visitation. The problem with letting anyone move in is that it is extremely hard to get them moved out. Once they establish residency, that means you have to go through the courts. In some states, it can take as little as 3 days if they have no other residence. There would of course also be fights and ugliness in front of your daughters. It's honestly just not the thing to do for any of you. Your children will be in a good and stable place and be fine while your ex gets herself together. I, 28 female, was raised by super religious parents. It was a fight to be able to go to a normal college and not a Christian one with weird rules. When I did that, they said they will not be paying for my schooling until I come back to the right path. After struggling for a couple of months, a friend told me that the strip club she was working at was hiring. I have been dancing my whole life and have a good figure, so I was hired pretty fast. A few months in, I dropped out of college because I was making serious money. About $3,000 for a bad week and up to $11,000 for a really good one. When my parents found out, they disowned me. The same goes for all of my extended family, except for 2 cousins. Fast forward 9 years. I own my own house outright, a Tesla, don't have debt. I also own an apartment building that I rent. Stripping has a short lifespan, and investments. Now, my parents contacted me. Apparently, my father lost his business during virus. My mom has always been a stay-at-home mom. They declared bankruptcy and are really struggling. They live in an old camper. Also, apparently my mom is diabetic now, and my dad has always had heart problems. They wanted my help. I said no, I don't have parents anymore. And furthermore, according to their religion and church, my money was earned while sinning, so to use it is to damn your soul to hell. And I really didn't want that for them. My mom started crying, and my dad said that they didn't know where they went wrong with me. That was the last of it from them. A couple aunts and uncles called, but they changed their family helps family tune very fast when I asked why they weren't helping them themselves. But now, a couple of weeks later, I'm starting to feel like I was an a-hole to them. Because a month's income from stripping would make a really big change for them, but I won't even miss it that bad. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They disowned you, and now they're only contacting you because they need help, not to make amends for their horrific actions. And you're absolutely right. If the rest of the family lived true to their words they used to guilt you, your parents would have help and a place to stay in a heartbeat. They're hypocrites. They all need to apologize first and repair the relationship, if that's even possible, before any help is considered.